Alright, I would now like to try to find slope from 2 points. So, for instance, if I'm given 2 points, 3, 5, and negative 1, 4, how do I find the slope of those? Well, I guess I could go back to the first day and I could graph those 2 points and figure out the slope by counting the rise over the run. Well, I'm going to do that because this is going to help us review for our test. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch a picture. I've got 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3, 5 should land right there. And negative 1, 4, we got negative 1 and then up 1, 2, 3, 4. So our line goes through these 2 points. Now, if I want to count the slope, we got to remember that we can count the rise over the run. So if I count the rise, it's up 1, and then it's over some. In fact, it's over 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's over 4 and up 1. So as far as the slope is concerned, that is rise over run, which equals up 1 over 4. 1/4. So the slope is 1/4. I could also do this tabularly. In other words, make a table of x's and y's, like we did yesterday, and you put your points, 3, 5, and negative 1, 4. And then what we do is we find the change in the y's and the change in the x's. So change in y over the change in x. Well, from 5 to 4 you decrease by 1. And from 3 to negative 1 you decrease by 4. When you simplify, a negative divided by a negative comes out as positive 1/4. These two answers are the same, and they should be, because these are the same 2 points. We've just done it 2 different ways. So our final method for finding the slope between these 2 points involves using all these things we've talked about so far. The rise is the same thing as the change in the y. So how is it we could possibly write the change in y differently? And then the run is the same thing as the change in the x. And again, how is it we could write the change in the x differently? Well, for the first point, it has an x coordinate and a y coordinate. So we're going to call those x1 and y1. For the second point, we have x2 and y2. So if we wanted to write a formula, we would do the changes in the y, and if we come over here to get negative 1, we did 5, and then we wanted to see that we went to 4. So how do we get negative 1? We do 4 minus 5. Well, that's y2 minus y1 from the points. And then similarly, we do x2 minus x1. And in math, the slope is represented by an m. So that is our slope formula. Slope formula. So now if I actually want to calculate that, I'd have m equals, I'd come over here, find y2, that's 4, then I'd write minus. I'd come over here, find y1, that's 5, and then divided by. Find x2, which is negative 1, then minus x1, which is 3. We then calculate 4 minus 5 is negative 1. Negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4, and then we simplify. Negative divided by negative is positive. Positive 1/4, and yet again, we get the slope to be 1/4. So these 3 methods are all very much the same. One is just a visual method. Another is when the points are listed in a table, and the other is just a flat formula. We have to know how to do it all 3 ways. So the slope for this problem is 1/4.